So I have team members that I cannot get to move forward because they're afraid of change.
What is the change that we're talking about?
So we when I first set the business up, we have salesmen that really focus on sales. The issue is when they're turning the job in, when it gets turned into operations, there's a disconnect. So the details and the stuff that we need to be successful is not there. So we've tried to put some checklists and stuff in place that they say they don't have time for. So we're wanting to just change the structure and do like sales teams, which would turn them into field managers. And those field managers, they would focus on the customer from start to finish. And they hate it.
How does that benefit the salesperson that you're making into a field manager? Why, if I'm that guy, why would I be excited?
That's a good question. I think the reason why is because we can serve the customer in a better way. As far as for that person personally, that's a good question. Yes, sir.
That's what your resistance is.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it's good. You feel like it's good for you and good for the company and good for the customer, but you haven't told them why it's good for them because you don't even know why it's good for them. Well, no wonder they don't want to do it.
Okay.
Is that right? I mean,
yes, sir, it is.
See, people don't fear change. What they fear is change that does not benefit them.
Mm-hmm.
So if the guy's driving a $3,000 beat-up pickup truck and you pull up a $100,000 Raptor in front of the building and you hand him the keys, he does not fear change.
Mm-hmm.
He loves change.
Mm-hmm.
So people don't fear change. What they fear is change that they don't understand or know why we're doing it, and they don't see how it benefits me. All this guy sees is I used to be a salesman. Now you want me to be a project manager. I'm doing twice the work, and my pay got cut effectively because I was just selling, and I was making good money, and I'm a good salesman, but I don't really want to be a project manager. I think that's what I heard.
I think you heard correctly.
Okay. So we've done some of what you're talking about, but truthfully, most of the people that were high-quality salespeople, they were not transferable over into the system you're talking about, and we lost them. Most of the time. And so we call it hunting, and hunters or farmers. A salesman like you used to have is a hunter. All they do is kill it. They drag it up, but they don't process the meat. They just drag it to the front door, and y'all take care of it from there. Then they go back out. They load their gun and go back out in the woods again. And that's a That's a hunter-type salesperson. I've done a lot of that kind of work in my early days myself. I enjoyed that kind of thing. But what you're asking them to do is not only, do the kill, but now bring it into the building and process it and cook the dinner.
Yes, sir. That's right.
And they're hunters. They don't want to be farmers. The farmer more puts in the crop, takes the crop out, cooks it. They do the whole thing. And so it may be that you're going to lose some of these people, or maybe you rethink this. Now, one of the things I have had to do with those hunter types is they'll sell anything. So you got to put some guidelines on it because they were selling stuff around here in such a way that we couldn't keep up with the promises they were making.
Right.
Because they'll say anything, make the stinking sale if you're not careful with that type of person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not lying, but exaggerating or over-promising, and then we under-deliver. And that's part of what you all are experiencing now, I suspect. That's why you're wanting them to get involved, because once you see how the pizza's made, then maybe you would sell it differently, is what you're wanting to have happen, right?
Right. I'm wanting some accountability
for
the job. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I agree with that. And we've run into that here too. But the reason they've not jumped on it is you've not made the sale. And the only thing you can do is go back up and attempt to make that sale. And you can fix it with changing their comp. to where they can make more money if they do this the way you want them to make it? Because it should make you more money. If you fix it, you're trying to fix a problem, and if you fix it, your profit should go up. I agree with what you're doing. I'm just not sure that this group of people is going to be the one that leads it. It may be that you add a layer into the team and say, okay, we have a hunter on the team, and then we have a project manager on the team, but the hunter has to get everything they're doing approved before they close the sale, or they don't get paid. And so you've got to sell this in the way I need it sold, because I can't pay you for this stuff. You're creating all these problems by by not bringing this in here in such a way where the customer is not prepared for this. So I'll give you an example in our case that we had to really change that on. In the early days, we were selling talk radio advertising. And the salesman would go out and say, oh, it's the best thing since sliced bread. I mean, you buy ads on here, you're going to get rich. Everything Dave Ramsey says buy, people just buy it like crazy. Well, that's just not so. Usually what happens with an ad campaign is you have to start it, and it's 30 days before you make any money. So we had to reset and almost negative sell the customer up front and say, yeah, buy the radio ads. We want you on here and we'll make you money, but it's going to be 90 days before you're happy about it. Your first 90 days, you're going to wonder if you made a mistake or not. And if the salesman sold it that way, we would keep them because they weren't pissed off after 2 weeks and everything didn't happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Is that the kind of thing you're running into?
Yeah, that's the kind of thing I'm running into. I am the owner of a fence company.
Yeah.
And so we're more of a service base, so we really have to focus on that customer service, getting the details in.
So they're selling fences that you install?
That we install. Yes,
what's the service? After the install's done, what's the service?
After the install is done, we do a final walkthrough.
That's it?
On the job. Yes, sir.
A year later, though, you're done.
We're done.
It's not a maintenance contract monthly or something like that.
No.
So if they make the sale, what's the disconnect when you get over there to do the install?
The disconnect is the information on the contract. So the details on the contract may be special requests from the customers, maybe material or install details that are important. And then when we get there, we don't have all the information. Again, there's a disconnect. So it was sold up here. That person's seen the job.
And now you're wanting them to manage the install.
I'm wanting to turn them more into field managers where if the job fails, the customer would see that same person again, and then they're seeing those problems. They're able to get better at those because right now the way
what's a salesman? How many salesmen you got?
We have 4.
What kind of money are they making?
They can make 70 to 80.
Okay. All right.
We're residential salesmen.
You're up to your neck in this, and you probably know some things. I know you know some things I don't know about it. I think that you might be better off instead of making them all the way field managers, just holding their pay until the install's complete and the customer's happy, and creating some systems that says in order for the customer to be happy, you have to fill these things out, and we have to know what the customer experiences. So here's you need some better forms and better systems for them to gather the information for the special requests, the materials, the things you're talking about there's a disconnect between them and the installer. And if you create a better connection between them and the installer with better gathering up front and make their pay dependent upon it, your pay is not just for making the sale, it's for making the sale properly.
Okay.
And properly making the sale means I need details on this line, and this line where the installer knows exactly what's going on, and the day the job starts, you're on the job for that day, making sure that all the installers know all those details from your mouth. You spend one day on the job the day we started, and then you go back out and hunt again, rather than make them manage fence installs.
Mm-hmm. So when I put those changes in place, Dave, do you feel like I need to change the pay?
No, I would just fire them if they don't do it.
Okay.
This is a condition of employment, because you're pissing our customers off because you thought that the only thing you had to do is make the sale and walk away, and then we're supposed to just guess at what we install over here. It's driving everybody nuts. So, boys, you're going to write this stuff down, and you're going to show up over there day of, and you're going to be holding the customer's hand and holding the installer's hand, and the three of us are going to have a little meeting. We're going to say, this is what we're putting in. All right, break the huddle.
Right.
And if you don't do that, you don't get paid and you don't get to keep your job, because that's what selling here now means. And if they can't start doing that change, then the phrase we use around here is the centrifugal force. When you go around the corner, when you hit the corner real hard, sometimes people get thrown out of the car.
Yeah.
And that's the ones that won't make the turn. So you're going to make this turn, or you're going to be laying on the pavement and we're going to drive off. And you're not quite that blunt, but that's how you have to set it in your spirit, because all these guys are doing is they're just promising the moon, and then they're going off hunting the stars, and the installer's left to clean up the mess.
Yes, sir.
Have I got the picture?
You do, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think you can fix that by making a better connection without turning your salespeople into a complete install manager. But we're going to come up, sit down together, and go, this is what we're all agreeing to, and this is what we talked about when I sold them. And the installer's going, okay. And we talked about putting wood there, and we talked about this is how this is going to look. And if you run into something else, call me, and I'll come back over here. If there's some kind of disruption, I'll run back by. But I'm going to spend an hour with you right here, and let's get this job started, and then you take back off. And that is the only way you get to keep your job. Because it's part of making the sale properly. There's making a sale, and then there's making the sale properly. In our case, in some of our salespeople, making the sale properly includes collecting the money. We don't just take a contract and then hope somebody else collects it. You got to get the money in the door, or you don't get paid. Because no sale has occurred till the money's in my account. Until then, it's a wish. It's a dream. I think I made a sale. Oh, I signed a contract. I don't care. When I see money, that's when it happened. Money is how we measure success on this stuff. Not because we worship money, but because that's when we know it's not bull crap. So salespeople, your job is collect. You got to get the check in here. I can't get the check. My job's not collections. Yeah, it is. You made a sale to an unqualified customer, and they don't believe that they're going to do it, so they're not giving us the money. You didn't make the sale yet, Bubba. So these are the way it sounds around here. We're probably not quite that loud, but sometimes we are. So that's how we get after this thing. It's a good question, Kevin. Thanks for letting me walk through that with you. That's very interesting. And I'm not positive the way I'm saying there's a way to do it, but I resist trying to get salespeople to manage projects. They're generally not good at it. So I kind of resist that. Good salespeople generally aren't good at detailed project management. It's highly unusual to find somebody who's good at both.